Hello everyone, welcome to a quick fire King George preview for Boxing Day. And often when we're in this situation, we have to talk up races, but this race needs no talking up whatsoever because the participants and the power speaks for itself. Often you think of the King George as being a monopoly or a duopoly. You can see that represented by the fact that 12 of the last 13 King George favourites have been 2-1 or shorter, including 4 odds-on shots. But that's not the case this time around, and it really reflects the strength in depth. The favourite this time is going to be Might Bite, probably not as short as 2-1, and I don't think he should be even as short as 11-4, which he currently is around about, and that's because he's got that question mark to answer after a dull reappearance. And in the context of Henderson's big hitters, the fact that Bouverdere and Altior were so strong and so sublime on their reappearance just makes Might Bite's dull reappearance that bit more bewildering and that bit more perplexing. So it could be that he roars back to life as he did in this race last year, but by the same token, just that slight question mark against him, certainly the prices, makes me prefer to look elsewhere. Native River has beaten Might Bite the twice that they've competed against each other, but the issue for him is pretty simple. You'll all know this, that Native River's strength is his stamina, and this race, the King George, is going to take around a minute less to complete than the Gold Cup last year when he defeated Might Bite. And we all know that those hard yards are the best yards for Native River. The tracks are concerned for him. The opposite is true of Politologue, because he's going to have to run about a minute longer than he ever has in a race before. And he's a glider rather than a grinder. And to that end, you just wonder, or I wonder certainly, what he's going to do at the end of his race. Thistlecrack, he won this 2 years ago, was brilliant that day, but the fact remains that that is still his best performance. And even though there was flickers of more life in him at Haydock, it's still in the back of your mind that things haven't gone to plan with that horse, and can he ever replicate what he did so brilliantly in this race a few years ago? Which brings us to two enigmas. Bristol De Mai, because he's up and down. You can't trust him from one race to the next, and he's certainly conditional. And what those precise conditions are, it's hard for us to fathom, but on the back of a Haydock win, you get the impression that this might not be his day, and of course he did fluff his lines in this race last year, which sort of brings us by default almost to waiting patiently. The plus sides with him is that he's unbeaten over fences, he's eaten up everything that's been put in front of him so far, and that he comes here with a different line of form and just representing a different type of horse. The negative is that he hasn't run so far this season, and diving back into the deep end in the face of such a stiff examination is going to test him in every single way. But by the same token, get the impression that waiting patiently has been waiting patiently and building up to this very day all his life. He's got the tools, he's got the talent to really shine over this spot at this new trip to him and at a different track from what he's fared at previously. I get the impression that this is really going to allow him to express himself in full, and my suspicion is that waiting patiently, he might be the best of all of them in the King George on Boxing Day. So that was a quick fire recap. Waiting patiently for me, waiting patiently for Timeform in fact, but it's going to be a crackerjack of a race.